A very warm welcome to the On Point of View podcast. We have a very special episode because not only are we recording in person, but we are live at CLOC Global Institute, Chicago. We're joined by Kim Wolfe, who is Senior Managing Director and SVP at State Street. Kim is one of our customers on our customer advisory board. You've had decades in financial services and being a leader in the space, and so super grateful to have you here and talk to us a little bit about your conference experience and what you've been thinking about. So how have you found CLOC so far?
CLOC has been great as usual. There's definitely a different vibe here in Chicago. For me personally, I love not having the distraction of the casino and just really being able to focus on the great content and energy.
We were just talking about that, having to walk past all of the pokie machines to get to the conference. Tell us a little bit about your role in the ambit at State and what you sort of set out to accomplish there.
Yeah, so I have to say I am absolutely loving my role. I kind of say I wear three hats. One is to lead legal operations, which is no surprise. The second is to act in the capacity of the Chief Administrative Officer to the General Counsel, and that is all about making sure that the department runs well and smoothly, and he can really focus on what's most important to the firm. And the third and probably more exciting part of my role is focusing on contracting. And, I've got responsibility for a large portion of the client contracting at the firm, and I'm thinking about how do we completely reimagine the way we do that kind of work. So it's been so much fun.
Oh, I love it. Something we are asking all of our guests who come through today is, you've been at the conference. What is the most on-point thing you've heard that's been said at the show so far?
The most on point, I have to say, the keynote speaker I thought was incredibly on point. And I love all this stuff we're doing with AI, and I've grown up in a process transformation, and I have a management science kind of background, so it's totally in my wheelhouse. But I am thinking a lot about the human side, and I thought his message was a really good way to ground the entire group of attendees, and not just focusing on the technology, but not forgetting the people.
Right, yeah. I think he took this view that wasn't just 2 years or 3 years ahead, it was sort of 5-10 years, and it was very optimistic.
Yes.
And there was that interesting concept of trying to get away from the screen. And
oh my goodness, but I could totally see it. And I have to admit, I did have some guilt listening to him, because my daughter had an iPad at 2.
Well, one of the things that we want to ask you about, because the theme has really been AI at this event, right? And so, contracting, e-discovery, research have all sort of been well-explored use cases for AI in legal. Something that I know that you've been thinking about, which is one of the more emerging use cases, is how you can use AI to help with spend management.
Yes.
Spend management being, how do you really get ROI out of the, law firm invoices you're getting and how you're allocating that cost. So can you talk to us a little bit more about your thinking and what you've explored around AI for that sphere?
Yeah. So we're super excited to be going down this path with Spend Agent. I think there's an incredible opportunity that goes beyond even just the basics, which is, are my law firms being compliant with my billing guidelines? I love the ability now to be able to customize my guidelines, to certain law firms or groups of law firms. But for me, the next stage of thinking is more about using it to understand my spend better, and am I spending in the right places, and do I have the right mix of timekeepers, and what intelligence can I actually draw from my bills aside from getting them paid? Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be so powerful, especially as the pressures of law firm rates continuing to rise and in-house budgets continuing to shrink. Being able to be more intentional about what we send out is going to be really helpful, and the Spend Agent is right there to help us do it.
Yeah, I really think that it's one of those use cases where there's a very clear ROI, but there's also a ton of data where you can ask those insightful questions, and it's also not where you really want your attorneys to spend their time every day. Nick, anything you want to ask him?
I guess you talk about law firms. Are you seeing them, how far up are they putting their rates at the moment? Because I think there's this nice kind of the dichotomy going on where everybody's talking about AI reducing the amount of work lawyers have to do, but is that just being wiped out by a converse 20% plus rate rise?
The rates are increasing significantly, and it's not just one firm, it's across the board. They're kind of moving together. And is it wiping out the savings or the potential to save? I think it could, right? It just depends on how liberal you are about what you send out. But I do think the rising rate environment is really two things. The rising rate environment coupled with the power of AI is actually giving in-house teams now the potential to rethink that balance of work. Whereas before we would have been kind of, had no defense, but AI really helps us tap into what we've already paid for from our law firms and make sure we're asking more refined questions and not asking for the same work over and over. So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, to bring the balance back towards the in-house side.
Yeah, so taking, I think we said, like the tools we're talking about, which are knowledge agents. So when you're getting that advice back from the law firm, you can call upon that.
Putting it somewhere to use it again, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a story. I talked to a lawyer, and because they call it a privileged cartel, but they kept giving the same advice to the same question for a large the Auckland City Council, I think it was, and it was $800 for the same question, and they'd answered that question something like 50 times. Exact same question.
It was a pretty profitable question.
Yeah. Right. We're talking about knowledge being commoditized. There we go. Well, thank you so much, Kim, for dropping by, sharing what you've heard at the conference, and really interested to see how all of this plays out around.
Yeah, thank you. Have a terrific day.
Thank you.